slow because it had to go through the FBI filter before it connected to StreamYard. And government efficiency.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
they're still using dial-up.
The FBI is like, oh man, would you stop monitoring that guy? I'm waiting for a phone call.
What's the line Armageddon? 5,000 moving parts built by the lowest bidder.
Yep.
And then it just hits it with a hammer and it works.
Yep. Exactly.
All made in Taiwan.
All made
American
in Taiwan.
components, Russian components, all made in Taiwan.
Yeah. Or what's the West China? West China is what we're calling it now. Or is China East Taiwan?
China's East Taiwan.
East Taiwan. Okay. We just angered Google by saying that.
Yeah, Google can suck my nuts.
They
wouldn't be the first time.
if it caused their stock to go up, they would not be opposed to it.
Yeah.
No.
They're probably pretty desperate for shit. Especially the way the economy is going right now.
Oh yeah.
Yep. The economy sucks.
What a lot of the housing market looks like? A lot of the housing market reminds me an awful lot of
2008,
14 and a half years ago. Yeah.
we were talking about copper thieves before you jumped on, and there was an article out of New Orleans that they're cutting down electrical poles with like axes and tomahawks and whatnot to steal the copper. So we looked it up, and like the transformer is like 200 pounds of copper.
I mean, I've never had such inklings, but
200 pounds of copper at like $8 a pound.
I just wonder, where are they selling this? Because it's not like you can just.
It's got to be. To shady, right? It's got to be shady.
Yeah,
right.
But I'm just saying,
even at a shady yard, you're getting $1,000.
Yeah, but man,
that's a good night's work, and that's tax free.
Well, yeah, and you better do that all at once too, though, because no one's going to just casually watch a beat up pickup truck roll by with a transformer in the bed and be like, "Oh, I'm sure that's on the up and up."
They got caught doing it in the middle of the day.
Meth is a hell of a drug, and
they're methgarists.
That is methed up, man.
Methgarist. I'm gonna have to coin that phrase. Yeah, not a methgarist. There you go.
See my new shirt?
The Fear Die.
I like it.
R.I.P. J. Stark. Yeah. On that note, we are covered by the BIP. I'm not gonna say hello because we're already 3 minutes in.
Yeah, they figured it out.
So, Bipcott, Brandenburg, Ohio, episode 192. Go listen to our last one, you fuckers.
Yeah, if you haven't yet, why not?
191 with Biting the Bullet Boys on Ruby Ridge.
If you're stuck in traffic and, on a morning commute, roll your windows down, crank it up so everybody around you can hear it too.
Yep. Shout out to Tyler at Libertarian Podcast Review for the positive feedback on that one.
Yep.
That was very cool.
Yeah. I love when other people pimp our stuff because that means that we don't have to.
Because we are literally the worst advertisers.
Yeah, we it's. Oh, I loved when I did my job interview for the job that I'm still fairly new at. I mentioned having a podcast, and my prospective new employer is like, "Oh, what's it about?" And I'm like, "Current events."
Yeah, we just talk about the news. We just talk about the news, bro.
I don't really want to tell you. Yeah, but I don't want to fully explain that to you because I'd really like you to hire me, and I'm not 100% confident that you will.
Well, it doesn't help that we've all been kicked off of social media for the most part.
Yeah,
especially. Off Twitter.
They deleted my Facebook page, not my Facebook profile, but the page. A Wolf in a Sheep's World. It's gone.
Yeah.
So, that was what 56,000 people that I ran for a decade.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
bastards.
Well, I'm back on Facebook now, but only for work. So
Yeah, I didn't even bother searching you.
yeah, there's no point. I'm not going to add anybody who's not a professional connection anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's going to be a boring page. There's no reason to follow it.
It's gonna be guy in suit and tie, guy in suit and tie, guy in suit and tie, corporate logo, me.
So
Yep.
like LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I'm looking at it. Is I need to forge professional connections, and I don't need anybody going like, "Oh, you're one of them crazies." And so, same reason I have the
So let me
online
guess, it was set
pseudonym.
up at work on a work email, work ISP, work
Work VPN. Yep.
URL or VPN.
Yep.
Not
It is
a
entirely-
not a DV not a DVE goth at professional.com.
Yeah. Like I didn't even want to use, because it makes you use your phone number for like verification. I didn't even want to actually put my real phone number in. Like I was trying to figure out how I could use my work phone number somehow to maybe.
That's the
But I
reason.
can't get
That's the
text.
reason I'm not on Twitter, is because they make you verify with a phone.
And
Yep.
somehow still my profile is under the radar. I don't know why. When I got this new phone, the Pixel 6, I accidentally created another Twitter account, and it stayed.
Oh,
And it's using this phone number, the same number I've had fucking since I was like 21.
Yeah.
It's still there.
oh,
I don't know
maybe
if I can
maybe Uncle Elon just thinks you're an army.
I might be doing something wrong. I don't know.
Or right, whichever. Because
Maybe I'm not trolling hard enough.
Because Spike Cohen still has an account, and that guy goes pretty hard in the paint
Yeah.
it is.
on everything. He doesn't cuss though, so he's like really professional about it. But he
Lame.
still
Oh,
goes pretty hard. No, him and Dave are probably going to be the next president, vice president nominee.
You think they'll put Spike out front?
No, it'll be Dave Smith because he's the known name, which is
I
sad.
mean, Spike's pretty known.
Yeah. I say
is sad.
Spike should be up front on that, and that's actually an electable ticket at that point. Not that the elections are real, but
Yeah.
I would actually love to see Spike somehow get onto the floor with Biden.
Either one of them. I want to say
No.
Josh Smith get on the floor with Biden.
just tear him apart
Oh,
just brutally.
Just fuck you, pedophile. That would just be fantastic. That'll never happen.
On national
Smelling kids.
in national television. Would you stop sniffing children?
Yeah, the guy with 9 kids on stage with Biden. Yeah. That won't last. He'll get fucking JFK'd.
Mm-hmm.
Suicided to the back of the head twice.
I'd say not even JFK. He'd get Bobby Kennedy.
Bobby Kennedy. Yeah.
He'd be Clinton.
The other one is Justin Amish. They're still pushing for him, right? The Cathedral Libertarians are pushing for him, but he was on that New Hampshire Libertarian Party post about McCain. He was on there defending McCain.
Yeah,
Of
I
course.
posted directly on his post, and then on her post too. And somebody else tried to call me out and shit like that. Chris was following it for a minute, and they were just going back and forth about it. I'm like,
God, that post was so beautiful. The response to that was beautiful. Like it made like national newspapers.
yeah,
And the best line about it is they reached out to the NPLH, or the NPLH, the NHLP or LPNH, whatever it is, the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, for a comment for their article, and they said something to the effect of, just wait until you see what we post when the Clintons finally die. Oh my god. Oh, the shit poster in me went fucking 6 to midnight real fast with that one.
oh yeah.
glorious.
That's great.
It's just, hey, I totally support. Like, it drives me nuts when people are like, oh, well, you should respect the dead. Why? They didn't fucking respect anybody when they were alive. Why the fuck should I respect them?
I didn't respect them when they were
Because they
alive, so
died.
why the fuck would I
Yeah,
respect
that's-
them when they're dead?
No, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't fucking
And they're
care
like,
that
oh,
they're
but the
dead
family
now.
grieving. It's like, you do realize she on The View, when she was on The View, was wanting people that didn't take like the COVID vaccine and shit to go to Gitmo, something like that.
Oh, she was worse than that.
You know.
But yeah.
You know, I mean, that's what was on national TV, that she advocated for fellow Americans to go to Gitmo because they were against what she believed was right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, why should I respect?
And you want me to be sympathetic to her?
Yeah, why would I
Fuck
care then how they feel? Because they want to send me to a prison because I don't agree with them. Why would I care about?
They literally wanted you to die in the streets.
Yeah,
because you weren't getting the shot that they wanted you to.
Yeah, they were disappointed that we weren't dying left and right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it proved them wrong.
Yeah.
Horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And they were just pissed off and were like, well, I just wish you people would start dying. Wow, nice to see you. You're nice, peaceful, respectful.
So tolerant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tolerant left.
Yeah. But I'm the psycho for not agreeing with them.
Well, yeah, like why would I
leave me the fuck alone? We're the psychos.
Yeah, why would I respect a friggin' warmonger who shot himself down over Vietnam being dead? Like, why would I care about his feelings? Or
he advocated the Saddam Hussein has chemical weapons, right, in 2003 BS. Defended the actions in Afghanistan, Syria, Somalia, huge Central Africa,
Warhawk, but then would not support the vets when they came home. He voted against every single bill that was supposed to help vets.
Oh yeah,
while he was in office, every single
because he already got his, so he didn't care.
And and on top of that, like there was an article I shared in the chat about military members and the vaccine, right? The COVID jab. That they were forced to take it before it ever had FDA approval to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were forced to take it before it was ever released for the civilians. Like forced.
I'm surprised they even told him what it was.
Oh, they didn't tell him what it was.
Yeah, they didn't.
Exactly.
No, they didn't tell him what it was.
Like
just guinea pig.
How many vaccines did you take, Andrew, when you first got up? That they didn't tell you what the fuck it was. Like here, just.
Oh, you basically don't get told about any of them. Like, you know what the peanut butter shot is because everybody else talks about it. So you know what that is. But other than that, you have no idea what anything else is. Mm-mm. Like, you're just getting stuck with stuff, and it's a lot of shit. And, like, right before you deploy, you get stuck with a bunch more shit. Like, and you don't really get told what it is. It's just, here, you got to take these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boring Scott. What's up, boys? In the chat. Our three guys. That's our cheers crowd.
Hi guys.
Yeah. So, you guys want to
popping patches in the chat?
And Valhalicist, who's out there and not in here.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we want to start that today, you guys?
That's a good question. I have to remember that my tablet is not a separate monitor to my laptop. I'm so used to for work having multiple monitors.
I do have a really good one that I'm keeping from you, and it's a really good one. It's a really good one this time. I mean, they're always like good, but this is a really good one that I'm keeping from you.
Should we just start at the top with the IRS?
Fuck the IRS. I got so excited. There's an article. And the headline said something to the effect of the IRA is going to help out minorities. And I went, oh, fuck yes, the IRA is coming to America. And it was the Inflation Reduction Act. And I got really upset.
Damn it. So confusing with these acronyms.
I got so excited.
You're like sitting there with a bunch of
bunch of car starters going to fuck around and find out.
Yeah. So with your beret on and your green sweater and black leather gloves and the big aviators, and then
deflated.
Sad boy. IRS, just because the IRS one. Democrat congressman defends hiring 87,000 new IRS agents. Quote, "It's important we have the revenue streams."
Revenue streams.
I mean,
they need 87,000 armed people.
Don't forget 2021. The government set a record for tax income, right? The most tax income that they've ever had, and still ran a $2 trillion deficit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's totally because they're not collecting enough money.
Yeah. It's definitely not enough money, you guys.
Totally not. Yeah.
Leave it to a government agent to just try to justify expansion of the government.
Well, and not only that, but
security, bro.
What does it say about you that you're defending 87,000 armed people to get money? Like there's such a difference between the government and the mob.
The fact that with the addition of this 87,000, there will be more IRS agents than there are United States Marines.
Mm-hmm. People have to remember the IRS agents are sheriffs. The sheriff of Nottingham's. There are 87,000 new sheriff of Nottingham's.
Yeah, you're only going to tax the rich, though. Yeah, all 186 billionaires. Okay, yeah, bro. That's totally not going to have trickle down issues.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. I don't
because those people got to be that fabulously wealthy by just not caring if they lost out on a whole bunch of revenue.
Well, they totally got that rich by willingly paying their taxes.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is they were totally cool with just it cutting into their bottom line every time the government decided it wanted more money. That's how they got that rich. I'm sure that they'll totally be completely okay and not pass that down the line at all.
Oh, they will totally take the price cut from their own salaries and from their own wealth, and totally won't affect their business bottom lines at all.
Yeah, they don't need. They'll just be like, you know what? I don't need that new Rolls Royce Phantom. I guess I could just go with the Ghost. It'll be fine.
That'll be fine.
That's likely.
So, Democrat running for re-election, one of the most heavily favored seats for Republicans to flip in this year's midterm elections, told a reporter earlier this week that he was in favor of hiring 87,000 new Internal Revenue Service agents as part of his party's massive social spending and taxation legislation known as the Inflation Reduction Act. The bill, which was signed into law by President Biden earlier this month, will grant $80 billion to boost the IRS over a 10-year period, more than half of the funds intended to help the agency crack down on tax evasion by hiring the massive amount of agents that would more than double the agency's current size.
So
$80 billion
revenue. How much exactly did the U.S. government take in from IRS last year?
They're spending more on IRS agents than they are on Ukraine.
Which should tell you something.
Yeah. A Tuesday interview with in Maricopa, Representative Tom O'Halloran, a Democrat out of Arizona, claimed the cost of hiring thousands of new agents would be offset by the tax income that the move would allegedly bring in through its increased auditing of Americans, and that it would also help reduce the budget deficit. The fact that there's a budget deficit at all is bullshit. But
we'll totally help the budget deficit by spending an additional $80 billion.
Yes. O'Halloran's claim comes despite the massive amount of money set aside for the hiring of such a high number of new agents, as well as what analysts say is the likelihood the move would ultimately end up targeting middle and lower income Americans with a majority of the additional audits.
What? You mean that they're not hiring these people to go after the rich folk? They're going to hire them to only go after the people who can't afford all of the attorney's fees to get out of paying taxes?
Yes.
Gasp. Shock.
So this is from the interview. This is the interview with O'Halloran. He says, quote, people look at it and say, well, how come so many? Well, find out how many people a corporation uses to put its tax structure together and how many attorneys and how much court time it's taken up. But the overriding issue is 87,000 people. When you've had an agency that hasn't had the personnel within the last decade and a half to be able to address it, it's important that we have the revenue streams. We don't want to overtax people, obviously, but we have to invest in America. And if we don't invest in America, it's going to cost us a lot more.
We don't want to overtax people. Lie. But we have to invest in America. Another lie.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. According to analysis, ahead of the bill's passage, the brunt of the audits would affect Americans making less than $75,000 a year, who will be subject to 710,863 or 60% of the additional audits stemming from the additional IRS agents.
We want to go after the rich people, the kinds of
60% of the audits will be at people making less than $75,000.
Yeah, I was going to say that, the kind of people who
which is what, like 97, 98% of Americans?
Yeah, I mean, $75,000. If you're a family of four, $75,000 is real close to the poverty line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, but yeah, additional revenue. But it's totally like taxes are totally voluntary, bro.
Yeah, I love that he said it's to target high-end individuals in corporate, even though every single analysis says it will mainly target low-income to low-middle-income individuals.
And it's going to affect interest rates by like 1/3% 30 years from now.
Yeah.
Or a decade from now, whatever it is. Right? So
over the next 10 years.
1/3 of 1% over the next 10 years. So in 10 years, the official inflation rate will only be what, like 8.74%. Woo! God, we are cruising, boys. Economy is fantastic.
# build back better.
Build back broke.
This is, I mean, the government, if you put government in charge of virginity, they would start hiring hookers. Like,
I'm just saying, like, that would be a really good slogan if you're running for office.
Hire hookers?
Yeah.
A hooker for every American. Dude, I'm voting for this guy. Screw Vermin Supreme and his ponies. This guy's got hookers.
Yeah. Just the slogan, hand jobs for hair.
Cancer charity.
But now you're thinking about it.
No.
Yeah, yes you are. Andrew wants to arm the homeless. Josh wants hand jobs.
Hobo with a shotgun. Woo.
Well, there we go. # let it collapse. Yeah. It's gonna collapse either way.
Yeah.
They're repainting the boat as it's going down.
Yeah. It's, well, like I said, I mean, if you put there's that famous quote, if you put the government in charge of the Sahara Desert in 5 years or less, there'd be a shortage of sand. And it's the same thing. Like, again, if you put the government in charge of maintaining virginity, they would immediately hire as many hookers as they possibly could. That's yeah, I mean, not wrong. I'm going to hold my tongue. I have a opinion on that one. But while we're on the subject of government, which we always are, but on government spending, you guys see the new numbers about the midterm spending? I'm sure it's ridiculous.
The spending for the midterm elections.
No, but it sure is obscene.
Oh, take a guess. Take a guess. Go ahead. Comment section. Take a guess. How much? Okay, advertising intelligence firm Ad Impact projects the 2022 election cycle. How much are they spending on political, or how much will be spent on political advertising?
You can guess. I guarantee you're guessing low.
Oh, I guarantee it. You're either guessing low or you're guessing just astronomically joking high. Take a guess. Come on, give me a guess. Scott says 3.4. No. You're less. You're less than half, bro.
Yep, that's low.
You're less than half. Vahalicus says 5 to 8. You're low, bro.
Still low.
Yeah.
30.
Again, this is midterms. This
Ad Impact says 9.7 billion in political advertising on the midterm election.
Midterms.
Not on presidential, bro. On the midterm election, 9.7 billion.
To put that in perspective, that was more than they spent during the 2020 presidential campaign.
Yes. It was more than they spent on 2020 also.
That's almost a quarter of what they sent to Ukraine.
This is on midterms, and I guarantee it's because Biden is so unpopular. The Democrats keep getting more and more unpopular that they are just throwing money at it because they've learned that as long as they can convince everybody, everybody else wants this person, the people are dumb, obnoxious sheep, because they are. Mm-hmm. And you just got to yell loud enough, long enough, and often enough, and people will start to believe that is the truth.
Let's see. This election cycle, this is from their post about it. July 22, this election cycle is outpacing 2020, which was a presidential election, by nearly $700 million.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Georgia Honor reported spending more than $3 million this month on ads attacking Republican Senate nominee Herschel Walker. Jesus Christ.
Let's see. So 2016 election cycle, 2.57 billion. 2018, 3.96. 2020, 9.02. And then this election cycle, 9.67 billion with a B.
Oh.
Think about the amount of money that these people who simultaneously claim to care about the indigent and the homeless and things, how much good they could have done with $9 billion.
Here's a stat for you. From August 1st, from August 1st of 2018 to August 1st of 2022, overall political media advertising for this election cycle has increased 203%.
Good God. I am so glad that I don't have regular TV and I pay to not have ads on like anything, including YouTube, because I avoid all of that. I have seen none of it. Hooray. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely worth every freaking penny that I spend on it to not have to deal with that crap.
It's insane. The amount of money being spent tells me there's a hell of a lot of power at play, right? Yeah. But it's not real power, right? What it is it's favoritism and legislative favoritism. Yeah, legislative favoritism and just all that at play. Mm-hmm. Like there's like like Biden has shown and Trump showed that the president largely doesn't have a lot of power, right? Yep. I mean, they can do some things, but it don't necessarily have a lot of power, right? Politicians individually don't have a lot of power, but what they can garner in favoritism and in terms of favorable legislation is huge. Like for California here with the high-speed rail that nobody but the politicians want. Right, that's now like I think it's like a $7 billion project now that nobody but the politicians want.
Have they even gotten a mile of track in? Probably not.
No, but they finally just got approval to build the San Francisco to San Jose part of it.
That nobody wants.
That nobody wants.
Say, how many people are daily going between San Francisco and San Jose that would rather ride on a rail that anyone could even in a fantasy world think?
They already have one. It's BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit. Right, that's our subway, our L, our
but I mean, it's not the ultra high speed, blah blah. Like,
it's only like an hour from San Jose to San Francisco.
So how many people are like, I need to be there now? Like,
they would have made far more money than they spent if they would have did that high speed rail from Vegas to Southern California.
Oh, from Vegas to like Venice or something. Right, just
run
it.
Vegas to LA through San Bernardino, like run it along.
Right along the highway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they made a fortune doing that.
Yeah, they would have made so much money.
Run it. They could run it from LA to Palm Springs, tunnel through the mountain, come out in LA or come out in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking bank.
Yeah. And then at that point, that opens up like where people who want to go vacation in Vegas now for a weekend
they could have
hop on the train and get there in an hour or two.
Yeah, they could have revitalized San Bernardino County by running along the 15 freeway because that goes in San Bernardino and it's a trash city now. Run along the 210 to LA, and just do like that L shape going up to Vegas, and they would have made so much money off that.
Yep.
It revitalized so many communities.
It's ridiculous. I mean, 9.7 billion with a B.
On air. On people talking and pictures. That's what that's being spent on. That's being spent on the ability to talk at people and show them pictures.
Yes, but where are the crazy ones?
I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the Whitest Kids, with the guy that died, that was a member of that comedy trouper. He did the honest political ad thing where he's going on, and he's like, I suffer from a form of sociopathic narcissism that leads me to believe that I should be in charge of everyone and everything. And together, we can piggyback some of our state's legitimate actual needs on my relentless desire for self-gratification.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
Not wrong at all.
There's that one, and then the Bob Phillip my mouth with farts? That one is also an excellent video for a political ad. And there's like 3 of them now that guy's done that are just superb.
There's a guy on TikTok I follow. It's Dixon Butts, Dixon Butts, Dixon Butts. And he's a fake politician, but he does like some community service stuff, and he does some man on the streets type of things. But he hangs up signs and it says "America needs Dixon Butts." he's a hilarious follow. He says it like it is too, though. But he's a good one.
Nice.
Imagine you took the Uncle Sam sign. America needs you to have Dixon Butts.
How can Dixon Butts help you? But all right, let's get on a serious one.
Aren't they all serious?
Are we serious?
Well, I mean, okay. FBI asked cops to let protesters in Michigan State Capitol building, informant says.
What a shock! Where have I heard this before?
No way! That would never happen.
This sounds really.
I've seen this one before.
In Michigan? What? I mean, of all the states that I know, the FBI would never do anything untoward.
To reiterate what Magnus said a couple of times when he was on, and we were talking about the Whitmer kidnapping thing, the FBI agent who was in charge of the Michigan area through the Whitmer kidnapping, through that whole thing, went to Washington D.C. like 3 months before the terrible insurrection. I'm just
there's video of the Capitol Police opening the doors and waving people inside.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. An FBI informant in the alleged plot to kidnap Democratic Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer claimed on Monday that the Bureau requested the Michigan State Police allow armed protesters into the Capitol during the April 30, 2020 anti-lockdown demonstration. This is a informant who was part of the Whitmer kidnapping plot.
And this is an informant testifying under oath.
Yes. Dan Chappell, look that name up, testified Monday and Tuesday in Adam Fox and Barry Croft's retrial for the alleged kidnapping plot. So this article is from the 15th. He said the FBI specifically asked state police to allow armed protesters into the state capitol for de-escalation purposes in the protest, which he attended with the Wolverine Watchmen militia members during his informant tenure.
I think if we've learned anything from this the Whitmer kidnapping plot thing, it's one, that the FBI is going to be in charge of any movement you join, and two, that if your movement has a catchy name, it definitely has the FBI running it.
They probably started it.
Yeah, having a name is a bad idea. Like, immediately that makes you a target. Don't name your group. Right?
Okay. So just for shits and giggles, January 17th of 2021 or 2020 was or 2021 was Magnus's speech on the Capitol building steps there in Michigan. So testify Monday. Let's see. Hundreds of demonstrators called for Whitmer to end the COVID-19 stay-at-home order that day. Fox and Croft are being retried for the charges of kidnapping. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Right, we don't need to read all that. Chappell is a postal worker. Fox's defense attorney, Chris Gibbons, noted that the Bureau paid Chappell cash for 17 weeks of lost wages, a smartwatch, and a $4,300 laptop. Just saying, that's what the FBI paid him.
That he claimed to have purchased for school. Yes. The FBI gave him a $4,300 laptop for school?
Yes. Chappell testified in previous trial that the FBI gave him credit card to offer the other Wolverine Watchmen members ammo, supplies, and hotel rooms. Yeah. The FBI did not respond to Daily Caller News Foundation's request for comment.
Of course not.
No. But yeah, that was a shorter article, and I don't have a whole lot more to say on it. But I had to bring that up.
Yeah, everything with that whole trial is so farcical.
And the fact that they were able to convict Croft and Fox on the retrial is bullshit. When there was a mistrial beforehand, and there's gonna be an appeal, and yeah.
This trial should have been declared with prejudice.
Yes,
because you're never going to get a fair trial after that. Never.
Scott says avoid the Southwest Michigan militia. Avoid any group right now calling itself a militia.
Yeah, because they're all run by the FBI. Every single one.
Yeah. As we established last week, the Aryan Nation, 5 of the 6 key positions were held by federal informants or federal agents.
I mean, if you are a racist, by all means, please get involved with the feds so that they can arrest you and throw you in prison, because fuck yourself. But
I flashed to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho with this guy jump out of the back of the moving truck.
the what are they, the Patriot Front or whatever, and they're
Something
all
like that.
they all look like a bunch of scared raccoons that have been found in the garbage, first of all, when the door opens.
Yeah.
But then they're all jumping out. They're already in their outfits with their masks on. They all get to keep their masks on as they all get arrested and put into vehicles.
Handcuffed. They kept their masks on. They kept their backpacks on. They kept their bags on. They were allowed to keep their vests on.
Yeah, everything. They weren't patted down, nothing. They're just handcuffed on the side of the road and then put into trucks and carted off. And it's like, yeah, because that's regular behavior for an arrest.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's so transparent. Like, you guys didn't even put any effort into making it not immediately apparent that they're all feds to anyone recording video of it. Like, really? Come on.
So what you're saying is that sometimes feds do false flags in order to justify actions later?
Yeah.
Yes.
Such as solvent traps?
Yeah.
Yes.
Such as the ATF going door to door confiscating solvent trap components?
Gee, I wonder how they knew who had them.
Gun broker seller Rifle Remedy 2000 is at the center of a growing controversy. ATF agents are paid a visit to law-abiding gun owner houses to confiscate rare breed FRT-15 triggers, and now the agency has expanded its compensation to solvent trap components. Over the past week, multiple law-abiding gun owners have contacted us about visitation. This is from MLN. Have contacted us about visitations by ATF agents attempting to get to the individuals to hand over solvent trap components and FRT triggers purchased on Gunbroker.
Dude, don't buy from Gunbroker. It's a massive ATF sting. We all know this. How are you people this fucking dumb?
Well, they bought solvent traps. So there's already... Oh, my God. Oh, they are their own worst enemy. Solvent traps are used to collect solvents from where a user cleans their guns. With the proper paperwork, some solvent trap component owners converted their legally owned solvent traps into suppressors. For years, gun owners could legally buy solvent trap components and then file a National Firearms Act Form 1 with the ATF, pay $200 tax stamp, and legally own a home manufactured suppressor. The ATF recently changed its position on solvent traps and now dictates that somehow solvent trap components are suppressors.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous because, like, this started a few years ago where they started declaring that flat rubber rings, like rubber washers, because they could be used as baffles and wipes in suppressors, that therefore simply having those and a tube that they could fit in that was threaded meant that you had constructive possession of an illegal suppressor, which is ridiculous because they arrested a couple of people who had small engine exhausts, like mufflers that were threaded, that they then said, well, this is clearly a suppressor, and see, you have these rubber wipes and they're going to use those and turn it into a silent suppressor. No, I have a small engine and I also use these rubber baffles for other things. Fuck you. This is hardware. I can buy this at the hardware store. What the hell is wrong with you? But this is what's happening. We're seeing that escalate and escalate and escalate and escalate. The more homemade firearms are very obviously a thing, the more things like the FGC9, any home manufactured ARs, the 80% lowers, things like that, the more that those things become very obviously accessible. And then when they try to crack down on them, everyone just finds a new way to get around them. Like, they wanted to crack down on 80% lowers. So what happens? We come up with the 0% lower. So now it's a block of aluminum. You're going to regulate the block of aluminum now? Like
Yeah.
this, and it's driving them to levels of complete insanity. I mean, you have congressmen talking about wanting to require registration of 3D printers.
Yeah.
And like background checks for 3D printers and stuff. Like that's the insanity that we're getting to, because they're in total panic mode because they realize they can't stop the fucking signal.
Yeah. Or how the what was the one in the Thomas Massey video, the senator was claiming that the grip assist, right, for the I forget what it's called. The stabilizing brace. The stabilizing
pistol
brace.
stabilizer
Pistol stabilizing brace turns it into a machine gun.
Yeah, like this is the level of insanity that they're hitting, because most of the people in the ATF, most of the people in Congress, they don't know how guns work. As far as they know, they operate by magic. And so the fact that there are these sorcerers out there who can take hunks of metal and work alchemy on them and turn them into this magic death machine freaks them the hell out, and they're starting to completely panic.
Yep.
Like totally panic about it, because they don't know now what the next thing that we're all going to find we can turn into a gun is going to be. So they're starting to just go after anything and everything. Like, oh, that's a screw with an alien head. Clearly that's a firearm component, and therefore you're under arrest. Like that's the point the ATF is getting.
Yeah, what's it cost? $8 and 15 minutes on Home Depot, and I can make a firearm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's a reason why, like in the Fallout game series, pipe pistols, pipe revolvers, pipe this, pipe that, they're all a thing.
Abe, Saint Abe in Japan, there with an electrically fired black powder blunderbuss.
Yep.
Yeah.
Homemade gunpowder.
Yeah.
With homemade gunpowder.
Well, because gunpowder is super easy to make.
Which we're not going to tell you how to do it, because Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1960.
It involves charcoal.
And some other stuff.
And a couple of other components.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's
Dude, you can make it.
Not that hard. You can do a Google search.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, you can make it like look up how to make it on any given Google search. You'll probably be on a list the moment you do, but it's if you own a home chemistry set from like the 1950s, chances are it straight up tells you how to do that.
If you have a chemistry set from the 1950s, you're going to have cancer.
You already have cancer from the
radioactive
material they have in it.
Uranium glass is a thing. No, just to continue on this article. Somehow suppressors. August 14th, a Louisiana man was visited by the ATF and demanded he turn over solvent trim components that were acquired through gun broker, auction seller, Rifle Remedy 2000. The ATF agent produced a warning notice. The man, fearing retribution and unwanted persecution by the rogue agency, agreed to sign a letter stating that he had destroyed the items and no longer possessed the items the ATF had now deemed as suppressors regulated by the NFA.
Now, keep in mind, a solvent trap is a trap, which means it has a hole on one end, but not the other.
Yes.
And they've now declared that this closed can, that is
so what a solvent trap is literally a cylindrical tube that you screw on to the end of your barrel, so that when you're cleaning your barrel with your rod, the oil and the gunk and everything that falls into the trap. That's what a solvent trap is. It falls into that cylinder. It catches the crud. What they're saying is, because they're, quote, so readily turned into suppressors through various means, I'm not going to say on Google, on a Google product, that you can turn them into suppressors somehow that I'm not going to talk about.
Dude, if you've watched a Hollywood movie, you know that you can turn
solvent traps are illegal.
Yeah, it's fucking yeah, basically it's at this point, again, because it's now the signal is out there and they can't stop it. They're in full panic mode. So they're just snapping wildly and rabidly at anything and everything to try and go, no, stop, everybody stop. And everyone's going, no, I'm not gonna. They're like, no, you have to. No, still not gonna.
No.
Yeah. So that was on the 14th. On Monday, August 22nd, another Louisiana man was visited by the ATF agents. The agents requested that the unnamed man turn over the rare breed FRT-15 trigger. That's the force reset trigger that was purchased through gun broker seller Rifle Remedy 2000. On Thursday, April 25th, a video was captured by Nick, a Charlotte County, Florida man who multiple ATF agents visited. Nick had purchased a solvent trap components through gun broker seller Rifle Remedy 2000 and had paid for the tax stamp to complete a Form 1 self-made suppressor. Apparently, the man had enough solvent trap components to make more than one self-manufactured suppressor, and the ATF was demanding that he hand over the materials to the ATF for confiscation and destruction. The man exercised his right to remain silent and asked the ATF to, quote, come back with a warrant. Because fuck those guys.
Yep.
ATF special agents tried to get him to sign forms, but he refused to sign anything without a lawyer. The ATF special agents told him that they only wanted to destroy it. The ATF then stated that the individual was now, quote, on their radar and will be charged federally for violation of the NFA if he is caught with the items in question. Okay. That brings us back to gun broker seller Rifle Remedy 2000. The common denominator in all the visits is the 21-year-old out of Austin, Texas.
And it gets shadier.
Yes, Land News spoke to him on the phone. He told Land News that several months ago, around 20 ATF agents and local law enforcement showed up at his apartment and executed a search warrant on the premises. He claims that agents took computers, phones, and anything written down. Rifle Remedy 2000 states that the ATF was only there for 20 minutes and left without requesting any customer information, which he claims wasn't stored on any of the devices the ATF took. He says all customer information was held on the cloud. He immediately purchased another computer and changed the password to the accounts of the stored data over to long, complex passwords. Land News does not claim to have any proof that Rifle Remedy 2000 cooperated with the ATF, but feels that gun broker seller left out critical details relating to the executed search warrant on the premises. A visit by 20 ATF agents and local law enforcement executing a search warrant lasting only 20 minutes seems very unusual.
Yeah, which means that either A, he's lying, or B, they already had all the customer information from gun broker, so they didn't need it from him. So all they needed was just to tie him to the sales because they could already tie everyone else to them. And keep in mind that when this stuff was getting bought and sold, it was still legal. This is after the fact, right? This is them going, oh, well, we've changed our minds about these things being legal arbitrarily, because that's what happens with Chevron deference, is these agencies can just change their minds without any legislation or voting or anything else. They can just change their minds and go, nope, this is illegal now. And now anyone in possession of their constitutionally protected property is now at danger of going to prison over it because the enforcement agency just suddenly changed their minds.
On a dime.
Ignoring the violation of the Second Amendment, it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Just like they did with the 80%ers.
Yeah.
With the stroke of a pen, no vote, they were able to outlaw 80%ers.
Yeah. Now suddenly basically anybody who sells an 80% lower and a jig, both, now has to serialize it and treat it as a full-on firearm, even though neither one of those things is in fact a firearm. And that's ridiculous because it requires just as much machining for an 80% lower to be turned into an actual functional firearm as if I literally just went and bought a piece of metal and started drilling and machining it. So unless you're going to say that a random chunk of aluminum is now a firearm because there's a theoretical possibility that I could mill it all out, like it's all arbitrary. It's this arbitrary scattershot thing.
The ATF has been cracking down on solvent trap sellers for a while. The owner and employees of Diversified Machine were arrested and prosecuted. Other companies have been raided and shut down by the ATF. Yet none of this has happened to Rifle Remedy 2000.
Gee, I wonder why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's the kicker. The account mainly sells gun parts such as charging handles, cheap optics, and accessory rails. One interesting thing is that the account is still selling solvent trap parts.
Isn't that interesting? I wonder why it is that he's able to still sell solvent traps after the FBI confiscated his stuff. And, you know, the other interesting thing is, why did they only confiscate his computers and phone and stuff and not his inventory?
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder why that is.
So just for shits and giggles, I looked up the name Rifle Remedy 2000. The 4th link down is Amazon best sellers in gun solvents. Yeah. Yeah. Totally not sus at all, boys.
Not at all.
Totally not sus.
Dude, the bottom line is, if somebody's on wish.com selling auto trips for Glocks, or they're on Gunbroker selling solvent traps with thread adapters, they're a Fed. They are a Fed. Flat out, they're a fucking Fed. If you don't think that, you're a moron and probably deserve what you're going to get. Because you put yourself in that position. Like, you should be smarter than that by now, especially if you watch the show regularly. Like, we've gone over these stings again and again and again and laid all these people bare again and again and again as obviously FBI and ATF and DEA stings over and over and over again, and these people keep falling for it. What else do you need for evidence here that they're going to entrap you constantly? Like, you don't buy stuff that's of dubious legality through an internet source. That's a dumb idea.
I mean, how many people fell for the wish.com solvent traps?
Well, and the auto sears for the Glocks that were everywhere too. Like, there were hundreds of people.
Yeah, the wish.com auto sears, the wish.com solvent traps. Like, they were advertised on Facebook, bro. Like, come on now. Like, you got it. like Facebook has never been kind to firearms at all. Ever.
Nope.
Ever. And all of a sudden these wish.com start scrolling through it. It's solvent traps and Glock auto sears, and like, come on. Like, you gotta know.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious what's going on. Like, it's real obvious what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, Uncle Otto. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have to do this article now. Okay, I didn't really want to do this article, but I have to do this article just because it's kind of hilarious. Okay. So you guys heard about in Denver, police were going after somebody. They opened fire and they shot 6 innocent people, right? Not the gunman that they were chasing, but they shot 6 innocent people, right?
Well, he wasn't even a gunman necessarily, is the thing. Is the guy was just, as they came up, the guy ran, and when he was cornered, he pulled a gun out of his not pointing at anybody, like this, by the barrel. He has it by the barrel when he pulls it out and throws it, and they immediately open fire. and managed to hit 6 innocent people.
Okay. In the wake, sorry. Okay. In the wake of recent shooting that left 6 bystanders injured by the Denver police officers, officials were looking for ways to keep order in the city's lower downtown district. Hoping to reduce crowds and crime, the logic went, the city moved to ban food trucks from operating in profitable late-night weekend slots.
Because that'll help. It's the food. It's definitely the food that's causing problems.
It's the food truck's fault.
It's the food trucks. I mean, I know, like, I'll just be walking down the street, perfectly minding my own business after 12 or 15 beers, and then I see a taco truck, and I just get so enraged, I immediately get into a scuffle. That's, if I had a nickel.
I was walking by one the other day, and just out of nowhere, this firearm appeared that said, buy tacos. Right? Buy tacos or get shot. And I had to buy tacos. So I didn't want to get shot.
I randomly, like, I went to buy churros, and I got handed an M4. I don't know. I was like, okay, but it's not what I wanted.
Would you like some 9mm on your nachos?
Yeah. It's just,
there's a Korean food truck handing out AK-47s, you know.
You got to be careful when you bite into those because sometimes they're mines. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I've seen a couple episodes of Is It Cake? I don't know what's real anymore.
Exactly.
That's not wrong. That's not wrong. The forbidden tuna.
I'm hungry for the forbidden tuna.
At 1:30 a.m. on July 17th, Denver police officers were monitoring the crowds of people departing nightclubs. They witnessed an altercation involving Jordan Waddy, with one officer observing that he, quote, may have a firearm concealed in his hoodie or waistband. An officer saw Waddy, quote, reaching into his waistband or pocket in a motion consistent with pulling out a firearm. So the cops began to shoot.
I would like that officer to demonstrate for me what the consistent motion to draw a firearm from the kangaroo pocket of a hoodie is.
6 bystanders were injured in the ordeal. Body cam video later revealed that Waddy removed his handgun from his hoodie and tossed it to the ground.
Yeah, if you watch the footage, he pulls it out. So he pulls it out barrel first. And Burrito Garant Supreme, yes. But he pulls it out barrel first. Like the gun is barrel first in his hands. And he's in the process of just pulling it out and throwing it. He has his hands up, he does that, and then they open fire.
Yeah. And didn't hit him, but they hit 6 bystanders.
Yeah, you see him go to the ground and they're just bam, 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 and there's so many cops right there. There are so many cops.
Yes.
Like, and the thing is, remember, he had a gun, but the people who shot everyone in this encounter were the cops, not him.
Not him. Yes. Following the shooting,
it was a mass shooting by the cops.
It was a mass shooting by the cops, yeah. Search their house for solvent traps.
More than 4 victims. It's a mass shooting.
Yes. Following the shooting, Denver officials wanted to find a way to combat crime downtown. So even though the police admitted that something went wrong, quote, from a tactic standpoint,
do you think?
The city moved to ban food trucks from operating in lower downtown on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays.
They just want to double down on that bad tactics.
I was going to say, they really are taking like, it must be because all the Californians that moved from California to Colorado, because like California with the, you're worried about
attacked by that relatable wording.
But seriously, like California, like we have a serious homeless problem. Okay, so ban straws. What? No, there's shit and needles on the street. Ban straws. Got it. Like
make everyone wear disposable masks.
Yeah, disposable masks. Got it. No, that's what do you see? And that's what's going on here, where it's like, seriously, the cops are out of control. They need to stop shooting all these people at random and learn to calm down. Ban food trucks. Got it. What?
Yes. Officials, quote, touted moving food trucks off the streets as one of the ways to decrease crowds, chaos, and crime. Food truck owners were instead forced to park blocks away from the area, much further from the bars and the crowds. The truck owners say they weren't consulted and now worry about how they'll stay afloat without the profitable weekend slots.
And not only that, but now you're talking about a bunch of drunk, hangry people having to walk blocks in large groups. How is that going to reduce violence?
Right.
Hold on. This is a quote from Sanjin Mutik. He is the owner of a Euro food truck, talking to Denver 9 News. He said, quote, 99% of the trucks down here are owned by immigrants, people who speak broken English, who have much more limited access to resources than a bar or restaurant. If we're speaking about 20 food trucks, you're most likely looking at 30 to 40 families that rely on a livelihood from down here.
Yep, and they're going to attack it because their fucking attack dogs attacked randomly.
Yes.
So they're going to hurt all of these immigrant families because their attack dogs can't be kept on.
Quote, food truck owners often come from disadvantaged backgrounds. They also tend to have less money and fewer political connections than business owners. Sadly, this makes them an attractive target when powerful city officials make an embarrassing mistake and are looking for a scapegoat. That is from Justin Pearson, a senior attorney at the Institute for Justice. I'm a huge fan of IJ, by the way.
You know, the thing is, too, is who's in most of the political power situations in Colorado? Are they what color do they generally trend towards? Is it red or
pretty purple recently, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Denver's majority blue, but rest of Colorado's pretty red.
Yeah, but I mean Denver is blue.
Yes.
And they're like, hey, I know who we can attack. The immigrants.
Yeah.
You know, breaking so far from their tradition.
They're really blue.
Yeah, last week, the Institute of Justice sent a letter to the Denver City Council raising concerns about the lack of logic and potential unconstitutionality underlying the food truck ban. Quote, although recent violence in the neighborhood supposedly motivates this ban, who's the violence?
Yeah, it was the cops.
The
cops were the violence.
It is undisputed that food trucks have nothing to do with the violence.
If you're going to ban any food trucks, it should be donut trucks. Okay, clearly that I can understand at least in this situation.
Damn that Krispy Kreme truck.
Since food trucks, but not other brick and mortar businesses, are barred from operating, Pearson, that's the Institute of Justice lawyer, argued that the ban raises, quote, a host of constitutional concerns ranging from equal protection to arbitrary enforcement.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that any restaurant down there that serves food on the street won't be prosecuted.
No. Not at all. No. I mean, there could be a fight in the restaurant and they wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, you know, the thing that drives me nuts about stuff like this too is like La Crosse we're known for our bars, right? Like our downtown is ridiculous. And so at bar time, you have crowds of thousands of drunk people wandering down the sidewalks, bumping into each other, occasionally getting into fights, scuffles, whatever else. And in general, unless there's an actual weapon being used, the cops don't even bother to intervene because it's just not worth it. It's like, whatever, they'll figure it out. And then everybody will probably be too drunk to remember it tomorrow and move on with their lives. Okay, whatever. And they just let it go. And you know how many people die on average? None. No people die. No people get shot. That doesn't happen. Everyone at most, maybe somebody gets shoved over. But generally, if you try to start anything in that environment, there's at least 50 people who have nothing to do with either side. They're like, hey, man, so you guys just settle down, all right? Everybody just be cool. Just be cool. Yes. And it resolves itself. The only major violent thing in this fight were the cops who showed up with guns and started shooting people.
Absolutely boring sound. Hassling street taco vendor is a crime against humanity. Yes, I agree completely.
That is an attack on the foundations of this very country, attacking a taco street vendor. That is the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? And tacos are life, and it's their liberty to distribute that life, and finding them is my pursuit of happiness. So you are attacking me, and it's goddamn un-American.
Golf for president. Titties, tacos, and FRTs.
A great fucking slogan. Hey, I'm old enough. I could run.
Let's see. Following the letter, Denver Police Department representative announced that food trucks would be allowed to operate in the lower department or lower downtown again, but only 6 spots would be available, and they'll have to leave by midnight. Food truck owners will have to apply to occupy one of the spots, but they're already reporting that the city's application portal is glitchy.
What a shot. We've never heard that before. Affordable Care Act.
Let's see. Poppin says, wife might have us move to McHenry, Illinois for work. I like my guns, though. What is a good town on the Wisconsin side? Not Kenosha.
Not that side of the state.
No.
Nothing in that side of the state. I mean, the closest to that side, Watertown is home to Griffin Armament.
Ooh.
So there's that.
Ooh.
Yeah, my friend Michaela worked for them in Watertown. And it broke my heart. But
oh yeah, that hottie, Virginia Vixen.
Yes, yeah, and then she left. Let's see, McHenry, Illinois. Where
she
is
heard
McHenry?
she heard us all when she heard us all when she left.
I know, right?
Yeah, very much so.
Oh, that whole side of the state sucks. Oh God. I don't know. Move to the west side of the state and find a better place for work. Like that whole side of the state. Yeah. Oh God. Like, because you're on the side of the state that like is where Kenosha is, and man, I guess maybe Lake Geneva if you can afford it. Don't go to Beloit.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't have any follow up on that.
Yeah, yeah. What Dave said in the chat, like, well, Kenosha may sound familiar for another reason as well.
Heard they had a throw 3 rocks and hit 3 pedos problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Skateboard boy figured that out though.
Yeah. That whole area of the state, because there's like Beloit, which is one of the higher crime rate areas in the entire state, and
second anniversary of that was just a couple days ago.
Yeah, it was. As long as you don't move to Deerfield, because if you move to Deerfield, you're likely to be murdered. That's like, it's literally like one of the highest rates for murder per capita in the United States in Deerfield, and most of them don't get solved. So. Don't move to Deerfield. Deerfield's a suburb of Milwaukee, which may be familiar in murder context to people, is the place where Jeffrey Dahmer was. So,
Yummer.
Don't move to that side of the state if you can help it. That's a terrible, terrible place. That's the shadowy place that you must never go.
The shadowy place that you must never go. Oh. Let's see. Her options are McHenry, Illinois, Minneapolis, Waterloo, Iowa, or Kirksville, Missouri. Iowa's pretty on point, bro.
Oh no, what? Oh, I mean, Waterloo is the best of those options for sure. But I mean, at least if you went to Minneapolis, you could like move to between Rochester and the Twin Cities, or you could move right across the river. You can move onto the Wisconsin side, and that would at least be better.
What's your opinion on corn? Because if you're going to Iowa, my buddy moved from here. My buddy moved from here to Iowa, and it was corn and ranch dressing. Like that was the biggest shock, because corn and ranch dressing is on everything.
Well, yeah, because it's the greatest sauce ever invented. Duh.
Corn and ranch dressing.
Just ranch dressing, man. Like,
I live in Nebraska. I got opinions on corn.
It's
Iowa. Isn't that if you build it, they will come territory?
Yes. Yeah, the actual Field of Dreams is still in Iowa. You can go visit it. No, I mean it's not Dubuque.
Chris Sullivan's in Iowa.
Yes, I mean it's Yeah, Iowa can be okay, but like if you move to if you're gonna work in Minneapolis, if you can live on the Wisconsin side and commute, you'll be fine. But driving in Minneapolis can best be summed up with "cover me, I'm changing lanes." So, like, you need a Mark 19 in order to change lanes, and they have this wonderfully designed thing where their entrance ramp and exit ramp are one continuous loop on the interstate. So at rush hour, as everyone's getting on the interstate and everyone's trying to get off, they're literally swapping places in a single lane. And it's a 25-mile-an-hour entrance and exit, and it's a 70-mile-an-hour interstate. So you can guess how well that works. I was sideways in a Honda CRX screaming after shooting between a pair of semis once outside Little Canada, and that was scary.
Yes.
Well, Minneapolis ain't great. St. Paul, between the two, I don't know which one's worse, to be honest with you. They're both pretty shitty.
You have to have surgical steel balls to drive in Minneapolis.
Yeah. Dude, I hate driving. It's scary as hell because you're just like, what is wrong with you people?
All right, okay, we got to get going. We got to get going. I have 2 articles left, the short one and then the long one, and they're both going to make Andrew angry. So
that's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry.
Officials in Nevada demolished tiny homes built for homeless in Las Vegas.
They did the same thing in Madison a little while ago, and I thought about buying a bulldozer of my own.
Yes.
They did the same thing in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Home means Nevada. It's in our state's official song. Still, many people in Las Vegas have no place to call home, living instead on the streets, under overpasses, or in washes and tunnels. There's like a whole underground city under Las Vegas, and it is just there's so many homeless under there. And
yeah, it's all full of water right now.
Yeah. But 13 investigators, that's 13 KTNV News, uncovered how local leaders are bulldozing an approach that could provide shelter for some of our most vulnerable citizens. On any given night, about 5,000 people are living on southern Nevada streets. The homeless crisis has been compounded by the pandemic, skyrocketing rents, and a lack of affordable housing. So you'd think any help to solve the problem would be embraced, specifically if it's already working in other cities.
It's a not in my backyard moment.
NIMBY. Oh, it's a serious NIMBY. But we've discovered officials in our valley are rejecting one group's solution, hurting the very people state law says they're supposed to help. Quote, "It hurts. I'm sad and angry. All in all, one ball of confusion on why. I want to know why," asks Angela. Darcy Spears asks, quote, what did they take from you when they took my life? Alan shouts. Now I sleep on the damn sidewalk because of this.
He had a roof over his home, or over his head. He had a home, and they took it away.
Man named Savage says, quote, "They took everything but my hope, and it's beginning to dwindle." Angela, Allen, and Savage are used to having little hope, but they got a glimmer in this underdeveloped lot in North Las Vegas near MLK Boulevard in Cheyenne. Darcy, what did you see it as a stepping stone towards? Alan replies, independence, getting your own and passing it on to people less fortunate. Angela says, for once, I felt like, yes, I can do this. I can stay clean and sober. I can create, draw. I can become anything I want to be at that moment. These 3 have been homeless for years. They credit Joseph Lankowski, Lankowski? Lankowski? Yeah. Joseph Lankowski for trying to change that. Lankowski bought a parcel of land with a vision to create a community of tiny homes with help from volunteers through an organization called New Leaf.
That's
right? So Lankowski bought a parcel of land. So this is private land owned by this guy. And he wanted to create a community of tiny homes with help from volunteers through an organization called New Leaf.
Yeah, because, dude, all you need, people don't realize how much the lack of hope, the lack of any kind of a starting point will rob you of ambition. Like when you're homeless and you have absolutely nothing, it's quicksand. It's that I don't have anything, which means I can't get anything, which means I won't have anything. And you just
every day you feel like you're sliding backwards every single day.
Yeah. Because there's no hope. You don't have anything to work towards. You don't have a goal. I compare it to like weightlessness, right? Like, because if you're completely weightless, you're in a completely weightless environment and you're not touching anything. You're just in the middle. You can't go anywhere. You can move back and you'll just be scrunching up and stretching back out and waving around. You will not go anywhere. You will stay in exactly the same place. You need to be able to find a wall or something to push off of in order to find motion. Well, when you're completely homeless like that, you're effectively weightless and hovering in the middle of nothing. You can try and move, you can try and do things, but because you don't have anything to push off of, you can't get anywhere. You won't actually move. And what he was doing with the tiny homes is he was giving them that wall to push off of. He was giving them that springboard, that beginning to try and have hope at the end of the tunnel, to try and go, hey, eventually I can be better. I can have, my own house. I can have, an apartment, whatever. I can have a job. I'll be clean. I'll be sober. All of these things. And now, because, not in our backyard, Las Vegas has taken that, the politicians have taken that away from them.
Yes. Lankowski says, so there's three pieces to the tiny home. There's a floor, and then there's a front wall that has a door, and there's a rear wall that has a window. So it'd be the front end, the back end, and a floor, and then you would throw a tarp or a tent over it to create the dwelling. Right?
Because since it's not a fully enclosed dwelling, it is not subject to building codes.
Yes. By tiny, we're talking about 50 square feet, a small space offering something immeasurable, peace of mind. So 50 square feet is 5 by 10, right? Just for quick math, it's 5 by 10.
Yep.
Right. So it's smaller. It's smaller than your bedroom. It's not much larger than a queen size bed.
Yep. It's just a little place where you got a reliable place to sleep and to store your shit.
Yes. Quote, so now they have a place to call home. They had a tiny home where you could lock the door. So then you could go out and actually get services without having to worry about your things stolen or anything like that. It's a great idea that met a hard reality. The parcel is zoned for single family home. According to North Las Vegas, the minimum home size is 1,200 square feet. The tiny homes would never meet that requirement, but there's a catch. Quote, there is no zoning for what we're trying to do, says Lankowski. New Leaf decided to move forward, hoping to ask forgiveness instead of permission with a new state law to pave the way. Senate Bill 150, passed in 2021, requires large cities and counties to create a new set of building and zoning codes to allow for tiny home communities in certain places. Officials have until 2024 to make that happen.
Yep.
Lankowski argues that the folks living on the street don't have 2 years to wait. Quote, we don't have time to be sitting on our hands while we have the resources and the ability to help people. We don't have time to be waiting for politicians and actions. So we just went ahead and started building. The city of North Las Vegas could have embraced the effort and the opportunity to put the new law into practice. Instead, they tore it down. Quote, the only thing that mentioned a demolition of anything they posted was actually saying that this is not a demolition order. On April 12th in North Las Vegas, bulldozed the huts where Angela, Allen, and Savage were beginning to rebuild their lives, turning their new beginnings into the same old story. Savage explains, quote, it's been like this my whole life. Everywhere I go, I'm not allowed to be there.
Oh, and they demolished everything the same way they did in Madison. So in Madison a number of years ago, so what they did is they blocked everybody from coming in. So keep in mind, these people left that morning not knowing this was going to happen, right? They blocked everybody from coming back in and just drove over all of the tiny houses with the bulldozer. So all of their belongings were also still inside the structures.
That's what Angela says. She says her shoes and a lot of her clothes and stuff like that are still in this rubble.
So not only are they homeless again, they also don't have any other things. No change of clothes.
She said it's like I was
medications.
Yes. Savage says Social Security card, birth certificates took me forever to get these things. I was going to get my ID on a certain date. It's important to note that there was no complaint filed from nearby residents or businesses about the tiny homes. Instead, North Las Vegas code enforcement took action after a city employee saw a fence made of recycled pallets and reported it. North Las Vegas acted on a search warrant that allowed code enforcement to, quote, remove, demolish, and dispose of all non-permitted and deteriorated structures. Hold on. Despite multiple requests for an interview, North Las Vegas city officials declined to speak on camera and said they provided the following statement. Okay, hold it in, Andrew. The city of North Las Vegas's top priority is providing a safe and livable community for all residents. The ramshackle arrangements located on this property were non-permitted structures that violated both Uniform Housing Code and Municipal Code regulations and significantly increased the dangers of death from building collapse, fire, and exposure to extreme temperatures. By flagrantly ignoring codes and regulations, the property owner created an unsafe, unsanitary condition on the property to the extent that it was deemed uninhabitable. Okay, go.
Are you exposure to extreme temperatures, unlike what they'll get when they're out on the fucking street. Yeah. Oh boy. You fucking saved the fucking world. Everybody celebrate the North Las Vegas code enforcement, everybody. They're protecting the homeless from having a home that might not be as good as their 5-bedroom fucking $500,000 shitty ass fucking townhouse.
Just
the
first
leaf love on the fucking wall because they're that kind of piece of shit.
Just the first sentence. The city of North Las Vegas's top priority is providing a safe and livable community for all residents.
A safe and livable community, which is why we demolished the houses, because we want things livable. Are you kidding me? You pieces of shit. It blows my mind. It blows my fucking mind. The number of fucking yuppies and fucking upper middle class pieces of fucking shit who will volunteer at a fucking soup kitchen and parade around like they're goddamn motherfucking Teresa, and then by that evening have a bunch of homeless people kicked out of wherever it is that they're encamping or have their fucking tiny homes demolished, and then go, well, but I'm just trying to keep the city nice, and they weren't living in the best condition. Yeah, unlike the fucking tents or the fucking tarps and coats that they're now going to use for fucking shelter as opposed to an actual physical structure, boy, you helped a lot.
That's if they have those clothing, because their homes are just destroyed with all their stuff in them.
They don't anymore because you ran a bulldozer over them. These fucking people right here, these code enforcement motherfuckers, you know what our fucking founding fathers would have done to them?
Brandenburg v. Ohio, 1969. Since December 2021, the city has attempted to work with the property owner to correct violations on the property.
By which we mean we absolutely dictated that he couldn't do this and had to build a hotel, and he said, fuck you.
Rather than correct the violations, the property owner increased the pace of non-permitted construction and brought individuals to live on the property without access to fresh water, heating, cooling, or adequate sewage disposal.
Unlike they, we're living on the streets now.
Yeah.
Because we care.
Oh, it's just...
This is the shit, too. This is the fucking shit. Like, here in town, right? A few years ago, when there were the tubes out in the marsh where the city had dumped a bunch of the big concrete, unused concrete sewer pipes that are like 6 feet across and everything, down in the tubes. The homeless had set up a camp down there. You couldn't see them from anywhere. They were fine, right? What did the city do? Kicked them all out and then destroyed all of the tubes and posted a cop there to make sure they didn't come back. And then started ticketing them for vagrancy because they were sleeping out on sidewalks and things around the city.
Mm-hmm. So, okay.
And the city council is like, well, what happened? Suddenly there are all these homeless. Well, yeah, they were always there. You just didn't see them because they had makeshift homes that you then kicked them out of.
Yes. All right. Here's give me 2.5 paragraphs. Lankowski said it's important to know why New Leaf bought land to build on. He says that's what they were told to do when a previous effort was demolished. He points to a video that shows destruction of tiny homes at the Wash near I-15 in Owens, November 30th, 2020, the height of the pandemic when the shelter in place was the government mandate. An encampment of makeshift structures had been there for years, but officials bulldozed the 28 homes New Leaf built. It is against the law to build on the public right-of-way property. Lankowski says he was told to do it on private land.
So he did it on private land and they demolished it anyway.
New Leaf first tried building tiny homes on trailers, parking them in places where everyone has a right to park, but police tagged them as abandoned and towed them away. Quote, so after that happened, we were able to raise funds to buy a plot of land. And because their whole argument was property, this is our property. It's not your property. Okay, we'll buy the property, we said.
Except that your property isn't truly your property because they can dictate to you what you can and can't do with it.
Yes.
And will continue to do so until you prevent them from doing so.
Yes. As we said earlier in our story, they did not get permits for these huts, but the structures are based on a design proven to work and to be safe. Quote, we chose the Conestoga hut because of the cost effectiveness and its ability to be built by volunteers with little to no construction experience. It's kind of like a Lego set. Yeah. And then Lankowski says, quote, if code enforcement's whole premise is safety, what's safer? Being in a tiny home on private property or being out in the streets?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's just a constant game of shuffle. Shuffle them around, move them around. Don't let them get too comfortable.
And that's exactly what it is when you're homeless, is you're constantly being faced with these cities, these towns and things that are, again, it's the not in my backyard. They don't want you there. They don't care where you go. You just can't be there. And so you move and then you get the same thing, and you move and you get the same thing. So not only do you not have a home, but you don't even have a permanent place to ever go. So you have to constantly rotate where you're staying because what else are you going to do? Right. And it means that you're always on the back foot. You are perpetually on the back foot. And then these same fucking people go, but what do we do about the homeless issue? Well, I'll tell you what you don't do is you don't destroy the homes that they finally fucking have because they're not up to your fucking standards.
We don't like seeing them on the streets. Okay, well, they bought a plot of land and now they're living on that plot of land. And the city goes, oh, no, they didn't follow our code. Our arbitrary code.
You know what La Crosse did in response to the homeless finally? You know what they wound up doing is they finally said, you know what? This city park, now officially a free campground.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what they did here.
Yeah, and then a bunch of local charities paid for tents for everybody. So it's this tent city. There are bathroom facilities. They install bathroom facilities with showers and stuff like you would have at a nice campground. And they hired a private security to just make sure that nothing crazy happens down there at all. And that's what they did. That was what they did. And so now there's this tent city there where there's all these homeless. And you know what? they're not sleeping on the street, are they? They actually have a place. It's not a great place to lay their head permanently, but they have one. You don't have to be a complete douchebag to the homeless. You could totally just understand that good people have bad things happen to them. Good people make mistakes. They have bad runs. Things happen. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that it's far easier because the complexities and the vagaries of human life are too much for some of these people because they've lived entirely privileged existences. They've probably never lived in a home that was worth less than $400K. They've never owned a car that was older than 3 or 4 years. They've probably spent most of their car owning life leasing vehicles and things. They talk about, oh, we need to save money by only eating out 3 times a week and only going to 1 movie a week. Like, that's that kind of person. And that's been their entire lives. They have never seen real struggle. They have never been in a position where they actually have to go, well, you know what? I have an addiction to nicotine. I really need cigarettes. Do I want to eat today or do I want to get a pack of smokes? And had that be a legitimate battle that they have with themselves. They've never had somebody go, well, I don't really want to steal things, but I've got to eat. I'm starving. And then going and stealing food.
The current mayor of North Las Vegas makes $78,031 a year. Yeah, there you go.
Like these people have never lived a non-privileged life in their entire existence. They have never not been privileged.
The city manager makes $252,000.
Yeah, go figure that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying though. Like these people don't understand. They've never had to face a reality. Like these politicians, by and large, have never had to face a reality where they're like, I know I'm 1,000.
The average code enforcement officer's salary in North Las Vegas, Nevada, is $48,149. So
$50,000 a year, basically. And that's average, which means there are people making more.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. More than $50K a year. These people don't know. They don't understand what it's like. They don't know what it is to live on fucking $8 an hour. They don't, let alone to have no income and try and figure out how the hell you're going to survive. They've never been in those positions. They don't know what that's like. And so all they do when you're like, well, we need to do something for the homeless here, I'm going to do this, is go, but it's not pretty.
Yeah.
And then they
like they hear it in San Francisco Bay with the boat situation, the homeless on the boat situation.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's all NIMBY, right?
Yeah, and then they'll white knight and go, well, but it wasn't safe living conditions. Well, where do you think they're gonna go now, motherfucker? You think they're gonna pack up and they're gonna go, oh well, I was gonna stay in this plastic Lego set house. But now that you've bulldozed it, I guess I'll go to the Ritz-Carlton.
Now that you've bulldozed it, and I've lost like 70% of my belongings.
Of all of my belongings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll just go get a room at the hotel. I'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Oh well, now I guess I'll go ahead and I'll just throw in an offer on that $350,000 3-bedroom down the way. I wasn't gonna, but I guess. No, that isn't how this fucking works.
All right. Final thought on that. Make it quick.
I'm so sick of fucking people like that. And the worst of it is that, like I said, then they white knight about it and act like they're helping people and act like it was in everybody's best interest that they made their situation worse. There is literally no time in the history of planet Earth that making people more homeless has been good for them.
Yeah, no. All right, how's your blood pressure? You okay?
Yeah, probably fine.
Josh, you feeling okay?
I'm good. I'm right.
Kids for Cash judges ordered to pay more than $200 million. Kids for Cash. I'll get into that. Okay.
That's it. Like, that's all.
Okay. 2 former Pennsylvania judges who orchestrated a scheme to send children to for-profit jails in exchange for kickbacks was ordered to pay more than $200 million to hundreds of people they victimized in one of the worst judicial scandals in the United States.
Oh, just take your day in court.
U.S. District Judge Christopher Connor awarded $106 million in compensatory damages and $100 million in punitive damages to nearly 300 people in a long-running civil suit against the judges, writing the plaintiffs are, quote, the tragic human casualties of a scandal of epic proportions. In what came to be known as the Kids for Cash scandal, Mark Civarelli and another judge, Michael Conahan, shut down a county-run juvenile detention center and accepted 2.8 in illegal payments from the builder and co-owner of 2 for-profit lockups. Civarelli, who presided over judicial court, punished zero-tolerant policy that guaranteed large numbers of kids will be sent to PA Child Care in its sister facility, Western PA Child Care. Civarelli ordered children as young as 8 to detention, many of them first-time offenders deemed delinquent for petty theft, jaywalking, truancy, smoking on school grounds, and other minor infractions. The judges often ordered youth he had found delinquent to be immediately shackled, handcuffed, and taken away without giving them a chance to put up a defense or even say goodbye to their families.
Murderers get more rights than these kids were given.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, Civarelli and Conahan abandoned their oath and breached the public trust. Judge Connor wrote Tuesday in his exclamation of the judgment. Quote, their cruel and despicable actions victimized a vulnerable population of young people, many of whom were suffering from emotional issues and mental health concerns.
Well, yeah, you think that robbing people or destroying things or stealing cars or whatever is normal behavior for a child? There's obviously bigger problems there, and throwing them in a jail cell not gonna fix it.
Okay.
Well, shit, throwing a kid in a jail cell for petty theft, so stealing a pack of gum, shoplifting.
Yeah, and you throw them in a jail cell.
For jaywalking.
Yeah. There's, as far as I can tell, most places that I've ever been in my life, the idea of jaywalking doesn't actually exist except as an excuse for cops to victimize people that they think they can get away with victimizing.
Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Hold your breath. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court threw out some 4,000 juvenile convictions involving more than 2,300 kids after the scheme was uncovered.
4,000 convictions.
They threw out 4,000 juvenile convictions involving more than 2,300 kids after the scheme was uncovered.
2,300 children who were sold into what amounts to slavery.
Yep.
Yeah, internment.
Yeah, but I mean, I guarantee you that they made them do shit while they were there.
Yeah.
And then we're teaching you a trade so you can live a better life. No, it's fucking slave labor is what it is.
They put 2,300 kids in cells with people that like actually did bad things so that they could get money from the for-profit prison. The idea of a for-profit prison is an issue on itself. We can do a whole episode on the idea of a for-profit prison.
How just absolutely mind-blowingly disgusting it is.
Yes.
And they closed down a county-run facility so those 2 for-profit prisons could open.
Yes.
And then they can get their kickbacks.
Yes. It's unlikely that the now adult victims will ever see a fraction of the eye-popping damages awarded, but a lawyer for the plaintiffs said it's a recognition of the enormity of the disgraced judge's crimes.
I debate that. $200 million to a pair of fucking judges isn't that much money. Their insurance is going to pay most of it, everything. No, that's recognition of the gravity of it would be to have them dragged out into the street and beaten to death with sticks.
Yes.
You destroyed 2,300 children's lives to make money for yourself. Children who are never going to feel better about that.
They're never going to get their childhood back.
Yeah, as Dave says, what's worse, state-run or private-run prison? Got to have one. Neither of them were one will. No, neither of them were one will. That's the nature of government. That's the nature of for-profit.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that's the nature of a punishment-based justice system rather than a recompensatory-based justice system.
Marcia Levick, co-founder and chief counsel of the Philadelphia-based Juvenile Law Center and lawyer for the plaintiffs, she said, quote, "It's a huge victory to have an order from a federal court that recognizes the gravity of what the judges did to these children in the midst of some of the most critical years of their childhood and development matters enormously, whether or not money gets paid." Another plaintiff's attorney, Sol West, said he would begin a probe of the judge's assets, but did not think they had any money to pay the judgment.
Probably not.
Civarelli, he is 72. He is serving a 28-year prison sentence in Kentucky. His projected release date is 2035. Cohen, who is now 70, was sentenced to more than 17 years in prison, but was released to home confinement in 2020 with 6 years left on his sentence because of the coronavirus pandemic.
So Conahan's at home.
Yes.
He's not in prison.
Yes. Connor, that's the judge in the case, ruled after hearing often emotional testimony last year from 282 people who appeared in Luzerne, L-U-Z-E-R-N-E, Luzerne.
Luzerne, I think.
Luzerne County Juvenile Court between 2003 and 2018, 79 of whom were under 13 when Civarelli sent them to juvenile detention. And
79 of them. 79 were under 13.
Yes.
You think that's going to result in a well-adjusted adult going to prison for a petty crime? You think that's going to work out well long-term for society?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because as we all know, everyone gets better in prison. They don't learn how to be worse criminals.
Yeah.
That's definitely not how that works.
That definitely never happens. They recounted his harsh and arbitrary nature, his disdain for due process, his extraordinary abruptness, and his cavalier and boorish behavior in the courtroom. One unnamed child victim testified that Civarelli had, quote, ruined my life and just didn't let me get to my future.
Yeah.
Another plaintiff said, quote, I feel I was just sold out for no reason. Like everyone just stood in line to be sold.
Yeah.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
Like a slave auction. Because that's what was going on, is he was just selling humans for his own profit.
Mm-hmm. Another victim described how he shook uncontrollably during a routine traffic stop, quote, a consequence of the traumatizing impact of his childhood detention, and had to show his mental health records in court to, quote, explain why my behavior was so erratic. Several of the childhood victims were part of the lawsuit when it began in 2009, have since died from overdoses or suicide. Yes.
Because he couldn't fucking deal with it. Because they were like 8 fucking years old and you sent them to prison so you could put money in your own pocket. And now what's going to happen? Now they're just going to, the one guy's going to sit in prison.
He's
woohoo.
What,
He's 70 something years old.
Something like that.
Yeah. He's 70 years old.
72. He's currently 72. The other guy's
so
70. He's at home.
You locked up an old man who's lived his entire life in privilege. Yay, you. That doesn't mean shit to the fucking victims. The other guy isn't even in prison. He got to go home. And you now have ordered them to pay $200 million that neither one of them is ever going to pay. And even if they did, the victims won't get anything. That is not justice. And I don't care how much of a celebration these attorneys want to pretend that it is. It's not. This isn't justice. This isn't a win. A win is to have them gutted in public. That's a fucking win.
It's to be Brandenburg v. Ohio,
Brandenburg.
1969. Judges get protective custody too. Some do. I know federally, they're under the protection of this. I want to say the Secret Service. That might not be right. I mean, that doesn't mean that they're around 24/7, but whenever there's an incident, U.S. Marshals. There you go.
Okay, Marshals. Yeah. So either way, they get their own private security. I mean. And I guarantee you that most of that fucking money that they got out of that, they hid well enough that ain't none of that getting pulled with a civil asset forfeiture.
Nope. Not even looked at. Not even looked for.
Nope.
Yeah. So that guy got out of prison and probably went back to his fucking 15,000 square foot mansion to go ride around in his almost brand spanking new Mercedes again. Oh boy, you really punished him.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, there's all of these
2,300 kids.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's all these children who have been permanently fucked up by this forever, who didn't even do anything all that wrong that deserved that at all. And they get nothing out of this. This, again, is why punishment-based justice makes no sense. Recompensatory justice makes sense. Forcing people to make recompense proportionate to their wrong, to the victims. That is what makes sense. That is what a free society would have.
Yeah, this is just insane. This is absolutely insane that, first off, that it happened. That it happened in the first place is just fucking ridiculous. But that it happened for so long, that they got away with it for so long, is just
because even if an
really
attorney
sad.
Right, because here's the thing: is the kids who could afford expensive attorneys, this didn't happen to, right?
Oh, I
this was the people who had public defenders. These are the people who couldn't afford to really fight for themselves, and so when they go, "Hey, the judge is not listening. The judge is setting me up. There, I'm being sent, I'm being sent to the county lockup without any due process, without any trial. This isn't fair. He's doing it for his own reasons." Everyone just rolls their eyes, especially people in the justice system, especially people like cops and things. They roll their eyes and they don't listen.
I wonder how many of those public offenders were part of the kickback.
Probably several of them. I can almost guarantee you at least a half dozen cops were. The prosecutors probably were. They were all in on it. Guaranteed they were all in on it. They're all getting paid. And that's the thing, is that people involved in the justice system don't want to listen.
The prosecutor, that would be an interesting conversation with the prosecutor. Like, how does the prosecutor feel about literally feeding these kids to lions?
Prosecutor has to have a soul first.
That's true.
And you can't really be a county prosecutor or a city or federal prosecutor and have a soul.
A juvenile prosecutor?
Yeah. You've sold your soul to fucking Satan a long time ago to be in that position.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Like Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Exactly. But that's the thing, though, is like these people couldn't defend themselves, right? These kids couldn't defend themselves. They didn't have the means to do that. And they're being sold out. And even if they complained about it and they pointed out these inconsistencies, nobody in the justice system was going to listen to them.
Who are they going to appeal to? The judge doing it?
Yeah, the judge who threw them there in the first place.
They're going to appeal to the DA who's got a fucking flawless record?
Like we always talk about on here, right? We always talk about how the justice system is stacked entirely against any regular citizen. Absolutely, completely, and totally. It is stacked against you.
The judges, the prosecutor, and the DA all get paid by the same people, bro.
And so does the public defender if you have a public defender. They're all being paid by the same people. It is a casino, and you are the better, and the house always fucking wins.
Yeah.
You do not win. You can't win against these people. And anyone who is under the impression that there is any amount of justice in the American justice system is woefully naive.
All right, let's throw some links and get out of here, man. Come on,
Oh,
I'm just gonna call you Link.
I think you wanted to read it, but it's not on the ticker anymore.
No. Make sure that you buy Derica's book, Think for Yourself, Thinking Workbook for Beginners. If you went through public school and maybe you can't think for yourself because no one ever taught you, or you have kids that are currently going through public school, or you're homeschooling and you want to make sure that they know how to think logically and not what to think because they were told. It's a good book to work through. It's available on Amazon right now. If you want to care for your beard like a Viking, like I do, you will use the code InkedAnarchist15 at thebeardstruggle.com and use that code and get 15% off of your order. They have all sorts of new scents. They have stuff for ladies. No, not bearded ladies, although, hey, I'm not here to discriminate. Whatever, man. I don't know your life. They have the beard straightener. Yeah, they have the beard straightener 2.0 that's super awesome, has carbon fiber, has like some gold stuff on it, super cool. Again, that's thebeardstruggle.com and the code is InkedAnarchist15. We are still an affiliate of RK Spookware as long as they still exist, and you can use the code there in the description to support us when you buy stuff that you're probably going to buy anyway. Make sure that you check out our boy Dave at Poppins Patches. He's got a whole bunch of patches. We're always rocking.
Oh, he's dropping some Ninja Turtle patches on Thursday.
Ninja Turtle patches.
Oh my God, they're so fucking cool looking.
There's Dexter's Lab. There's Ed and Eddie. There's the girls from Ed and Eddie whose names escape me because it's been years since I saw a show. All sorts of cool stuff. I personally, as long as you're doing a bunch of cartoons from that era, I would love to see some Angry Beavers ones. Some really cool Angry Beavers ones.
Dude, Ren and Stimpy. I need Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, these ones.
Ren and Stimpy was lame.
These ones are dropping Thursday.
Oh, shut up.
They're full color and there's full color and subdued versions.
Hell yeah! And there's the ones driving the remote control the vans. It's awesome, right? So yeah, check out poppinspatches.com. And you can I think there's still a discount code, right? That
abolish ATF
that they can use. Yes, abolish ATF.
Not abolish the ATF. It's abolish ATF.
Yes. Use that code, get a discount, right?
15%.
15%. Chris isn't here, but I know he's affiliated with the Quarterings Coffee. It's coffee brand coffee. There's a code or something in the description. Find us on all the alternative media because almost none of us are left on regular media, social media anymore. Thanks for tuning in. We still got like a minute and a half. I got 90 seconds. I don't know what to do. I'm starting to panic.
No.
Just put your hands in your pocket and say goodnight.
Awkward silence. Ah!
Put your hands in your pocket and say goodnight.
I'm not okay with awkward silence. I have Asperger's.
Say goodnight, Andrew.
Good night, Andrew.